Welcome today to the Lance Corporal Thomas Richard Moore Jr. Memorial Square Ceremony and Dedication. My name's Kevin Jarvis, and I'm the Director of Veteran Services for the City of Malden. And also, like Tom, felt compelled to join the Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. I want to thank you all for coming, and at this time, please remove your hat, place your hand and place it over your heart, or render the appropriate salute for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We make that pledge in honor of Tom and all the others that have given their life fighting for that flag. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mayor Gary Christensen, who's a staunch supporter of veterans along with the City Council members, and every year the very first budget that they authorize is my budget for the Chapter 115 Veteran Services. So please welcome your Mayor, Gary Christensen.
As we stand here together this morning, I am reminded of the words of President John F. Kennedy. A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors and remembers. Today, we honor and remember a true patriot, Lance Corporal Thomas Moore Jr., who made the courageous decision to serve our country during the Vietnam War. Although I did not know Lance Corporal Moore personally, I do know what he did and what he stood for. A 1967 Malden High School graduate, he joined the United States Marine Corps without hesitation and was willing to put his life on hold to answer the call of duty. At just the very young age of 20, while out on patrol, he paid the ultimate sacrifice. The word hero is often defined as an ordinary person acting with courage, honor, and self-sacrifice. That describes Lance Corporal Moore, and I am honored today to have this opportunity to stand with his family and dedicate this memorial square. This will allow future generations to remember his bravery and his willingness to defend the principles of liberty, freedom, and the opportunity that this country has and will always stand for. Thank you.
Please welcome Senator Jason Lewis.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. It is a great honor to join with you today to pay tribute to an American hero. Lance Corporal Thomas R. Moore Jr. was just 20 years old when he sacrificed his life for our country. This memorial square is a fitting tribute to his memory. I hope that young boys and girls who live in this neighborhood for years to come will pass by and look up at this memorial and take the time to learn a bit about who Thomas Moore was. They will learn how much he cared for others, writing home from Vietnam in one letter to his aunt that he wished he could be working on building a school or a hospital. These boys and girls will no doubt feel proud to be growing up in the same city where Tom grew up. Perhaps some will even be inspired to also serve their country one day. I want to thank Mayor Christensen and our Veteran Service Officer Jarvis for your tireless efforts to recognize and honor Malden's veterans. So much so that, in fact, Malden was recognized in the editorial in the Boston Globe today. Thank you to Lance Corporal Moore's family and friends and comrades for your advocacy to make this memorial a reality. And thank you to all of our veterans, those who have served and those who are serving. We are forever in your debt. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jason. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge Tom Moore's niece, Erica Moore. Tom's parents, of course, have passed away, but a lot of you may not know that his mom was a Navy veteran of World War II. So, Erica, if you'd like to come up and say a few words.
Hi, my name is Erica Moore, and I'm here with my sister Heather Moore and her husband and some close family friends, some people who knew my dad and his brother from high school, and of course people who served with him and were literally there the day that he died. And thank you very much for starting this. I wanted to say that I've just learned a lot about my uncle that I did not know, and I learned a lot about the stories of these men that I didn't know. So I think that it's really been really meaningful to have this lead up to this ceremony, and it's great to see so many people. I learned that Dennis Best was a machine gunner because that's randomly what they assigned him. So he had to carry 26 pounds of gun, and everybody else just had to carry 6. So he would run faster than everybody because it was so heavy. And he called in when my uncle died from stepping on the landmine, and made the call to the chopper. Sorry, medevac. Thank you. And I learned a lot more about him, but we'll keep it short. And he'll be talking in a minute. And I learned that John Boiros was also there and was badly injured and taken to Chelsea Hospital to recover. I just learned that a lot of men, they were so young and they were riding home, they had girlfriends. So it was nice to see that. And John Boiros actually married his girlfriend from the time. And Jack Marino also is a veteran. He's from Malden, and he was a friend of Tom, or as he was called in high school, Dick and Hank, and Tank. I'm so sorry, I got nervous. Anyway, people called him many different things, but my dad obviously called him his brother, and my grandma called him her son, and I think that their loss was very huge for them and difficult to get over. So I think I've taken up enough time. Thank you very much for everybody for coming, and of course for making this happen. And if you want to read any poetry that goes through the experience of recovering from PTSD and about the day that John met somebody at the grave who he was unexpectedly met, you can ask him for some poems after. Thanks.
Thank you, Erica. Erica's dad, Bruce Moore, was Tom's brother. Is Tom's brother, I should say. There's one woman I want to thank from Malden who initiated this with a call and a couple of emails to me. Gail Greenwood, classmate 1967, Malden High School, classmate of Tom. Thank you, Gail, and thank you to all of you for coming today. We have friends and fellow Marines who served with Tom in Vietnam, 2 men who were with them, and they were seriously injured in Vietnam the day that Tom was killed. We have with us today former Marine, or always Marine, John Boiros from Taunton, Massachusetts. We have Jack Marino, Malden High classmate of Tom. And just to let you know that when John was wounded, he came back and was being treated at the Chelsea Soldiers Home. And years later, he eventually made it to Malden to meet Mrs. Moore and visit the grave, which wasn't an easy thing. Today we have a very special guest, a man who served with Tom, was with Tom when he was killed, was also seriously wounded in Vietnam. He's from Ocean City, New Jersey, came up for this dedication, and his name is Dennis Best. Please welcome Dennis as he says a few words about his friend Tom.
Morning, everyone. I served with Tom. I only knew him actually about 7 weeks worth of time when Golf Company, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, was on a mission basically on a place called Hanoi Island in Vietnam, about 17 miles southwest of Da Nang at the time. And as grunts, we were just, Vietnam was an unbelievable place, but for the grunts that worked it, it was very tedious at times, very boring at times. But we basically did patrols and ambushes day and night in different areas that we were at. We were among the most humble people of Vietnam. As I sit here with my legs amputated, this occurred 6 months after Tom was killed. Tom was the first man I seen killed in action in Vietnam. Rather horrific day, to say the least. We had been out the night before on an ambush, expecting to go back in with the company, still in the bush, but that we would get a break, basically, after the ambush night. That was quiet, actually. We were ordered to go on another patrol immediately after the ambush, which ended up taking Tom's life when a booby trap had exploded, killing him and wounding 3 other individuals, John being one of them as far as it goes, who was hit bad, and I had to snap into action. Basically, as a machine gunner, that's the 3rd person in a platoon that's got, quote, power. So the upper echelon basically was taken out, and thank God I was able to do what I did to get people out. John was the best medevac that I ever did when I was in Vietnam. You say, well, what's that? And it's like, John remembered, and John kept sending packages from home, It was the greatest food that you could get your hands on in Vietnam. It's a horrific thing to see people, one moment where everything is just fine, and the next minute you have one hell of a mess on your hands that you have to work with and take care of these people. And as our fellow Marines, we definitely take care of our own when these type things would happen. We brought a helicopter in to take out John. I brought a second helicopter in to take out TR. I knew him as TR Moore. Never really said Tom, it was TR. Tom was a funny guy. He had a lot of respect among the people that he served with. And it was our country's loss to have lost him, because I'm sure he would have been back here producing well and doing great things for his community here in Malden. So my hat is off to him, as well as John, Jack, and all the veterans that serve us. So I just want to tell you, I'm very proud of people of Malden to get this up, because it belongs up there, And I think it will make it trigger people in conversation to think and remember about what happened. Vietnam is, for me and John and TR, we're talking 49 years ago. And sometimes it feels like it was almost yesterday. And today, again, I'm just happy to be here with you people and see Tom recognized for the person and being that he was. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. Unbelievable stories. And like Dennis said, we lost 58,000 in Vietnam, but think of the hundreds of thousands that were injured and still suffer today. Well, Tom lived at 16 Nealon Street in Malden when he enlisted in the Marine Corps. And the day he died, his mother displayed a Marine Corps emblem on her door which had the words, "My son is a U.S. Marine." After he finished basic training, he arrived in Vietnam November 2nd, 1969, where he was assigned and served with Company G, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, 1st Marine Division Reinforced Fleet Marine Force, with the 3rd Marine Amphibious Force in South Vietnam. During the month of February 1970, the battalion continued to conduct assigned security operations along Liberty Road at Liberty Bridge, and also combat operations in the eastern half of the regimental area of operations in Quang Nam Province. Like Dennis and others were telling you, on February 22nd, 1970, during a patrol in the Phu Dong village complex of Go Noi Island, a booby trap was tripped, detonating a hostile explosive device, killing Lance Corporal Moore by its deadly shrapnel. Tom was only 20 years old when he died. Like they said, when Tom led us home, we always ended it with "pray for me," and he always wished he was doing something to help people. As I mentioned before, Thomas Richard Moore is buried in Forest Hill Cemetery in Section 22 near the pond where we're going to be shortly, halfway through the parade. I want to thank you for coming today and forever remember this sacred place in memory of Lance Corporal Thomas R. Moore, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps, Vietnam. The gold star signifies he was killed in action, and we will always remember his service and sacrifice. Thank you, Tom. Please give Tom a hand. I know he's looking down on us, but someone had to give us this good weather. Please come to attention for the playing of the Marine Corps hymn in honor of Thomas Moore's service to his country by Bob Sullivan.